So how you doing? I'm Derek Butts with Assist You to Win, and I am with Lori with Lorimar International. Welcome to the showcase.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So today, this is just a time, so just kind of set the scene for us to just talk, and we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your business, talk about the things that are important to you, and just really creating a greater awareness and understanding about what you do, right? So maybe let's just start with something easy, right? It's the new year. You're one of the first contestants on the showcase, so I want to say thank you for that. Matter of fact, you've been the first in a lot of things with Assist You to Win. So, Lori, why don't you just tell me maybe some of the things that Lori just loves to do, right? Just tell me some of the things that Lori loves to do.
Well, first and foremost, I love being mom.
Okay.
So I'm a proud mom of a 20-year-old, and she's a third year in college. So that's probably my favorite thing to do
Yeah.
is be mom. I'm very passionate about my career, business, real estate. I really love working with new home buyers, investors, and sellers to help them accomplish their real estate goals. So that's something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
And I love the water, so I like spending time, near the water, the beach, ocean, sea. I'm from South Texas and a coastal town by the name of Corpus Christi. So I grew up very close to the water and the beach, and it's something that brings me comfort and peace.
Yeah.
And so as often as I can get there, that's something I really enjoy doing. So.
Good. So you're next to the water. Are you the individual that's getting in the pool or getting in the beach or getting out there in the water? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on the season, but definitely yes. I try to get in the water or near the water as often as possible. If it's cold, I'll stay a little bit just close to the shore, but still try to enjoy the sound of the waves and nature and all that good stuff.
Well, that's something that we kind of hold near and dear, close to our hearts. I mean, I love travel as well, and cruises are like my thing. So I love being on top of the water. I'm not one I can tell you this. I think in the course of maybe 12, 13, 14 cruises that we've been on, I think I've been in the pool one time. Can you believe that? One time. And I think it was the first time we took the kids, because, of course, we take our kids every other year on a cruise when we go. And, of course, the slides, and they wanted to be in the water. And at that time, Soraya was 6 years old, so, of course, I had to be in the water. That's the only time, though, that I was in the water. All the other times, I'm on top of the water. Now,
okay.
I love being out there, though, because, like you said, it's just so peaceful, and we do that. My dog's here. We're at the house right now, but, this is one of the things that I don't love, and that's dogs.
Oh.
How about you? Do you like dogs?
I love dogs.
You do?
Yes, I actually have a Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua mix, and his name is Chico, and he's my little man. So
okay, so you got Chico, and I got Smokey. Okay. So Smokey's probably sniffing Chico a little
probably,
bit. Probably,
yeah, that's okay.
Well, good. So you talked about real estate, and I know that's near and dear to your heart, and we get to talk a lot about that in our coaching calls. But tell me, maybe, how did you get to real estate? Kind of walk us through that.
It's a good question. Well, about 16 years ago, I found myself newly single, and I was working for the state of Texas. Had a 4-year-old little girl, and I was struggling with how I was going to give her a better life. Yeah. So with the state of Texas, I was looking around, my office, and seeing women who had been there, 25 years, and their lifestyle and their health and their issues, and more of like the sedentary part of it is what stood out to me. And then also the room for advancement was limited. So I kind of started to think about what are some of the things that I love and how can I use those things to impact my career, my future, and my daughter's life. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. I walked next door to the building. The real estate school was there, and I asked, how do I do this? And they said, sign up for this class. And before I knew it, I was going after work to real estate classes and working on my real estate license. So that's kind of how I came into the real estate career. It was something I was always interested in, but just because we were a military family, didn't actually have the option to do that until we settled in Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's powerful though, right? Because, sometimes people, when we think about change and we think about doing different things, really change is just about doing it, right? And you just went over to the office, got some information, and it sounds like you started, and 16 years later, you are still in it. So congratulations to that, because of course, as you know, so many people get into things and then they ultimately get out of them, or they can't sustain it.
Right.
I mean, what kind of walk us through what made you successful? What makes you successful in real estate?
Well, I'm not going to say there haven't been challenges, because there actually have been a lot of challenges. The real estate market is like a roller coaster. It's up and down, and that was one of the first things that my first broker told me. He's like, you can work as much or as little as you want, make as much or as little money as you want, and always understand that sometimes the market's good and sometimes the market is slow. So knowing that going in, I just always kept that in mind and always, prepared for those things.
Right.
I always maintained my education, and I always tried to maintain contact with people. So that way I always had a sphere of influence or a circle or a network of people that were interested in either purchasing or selling their homes. So there have been challenges, over the last 16 years. Obviously, we went through, a pretty hard time, 2008 to 2010. Most people took a hit, especially in my hometown, which is a small town of 300,000. It was a very, very hard time for many realtors in that during that time frame. But I just pushed forward, worked towards my broker's license, and knew that eventually the market would rebound. And when it did rebound, I would be prepared with my broker's license. So that's what I did.
So in some of the tough times, you even went to the next level with it to kind of go to the brokerage side of it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
During the downturn, when I started to see it personally in my business, around 2008, I started to see that our loans were taking longer to close, 60 to 90 days versus, the traditional maybe 30 to 45. And once I started to see that, I was like, okay, now I have to prepare a little bit extra. So I did that, but I also continued my education. So I said, what do people do during a down economy? Is they educate themselves, because that education gives them more skills to advance themselves. So from 2009 to 2010, I took the classes that I needed to become a broker. I studied, and in 2010, I passed my broker's exam with the state of Texas. Wow. And so I've had my broker's license for the last, almost 8 years.
Wow.
But I sat on it really pretty much for 3 years until I moved to North Texas, because I just, was waiting for that rebound. And around 2013 is when I decided, okay, it's pretty close to time. And I started, 2013, I started working on getting back into, the field, rebuilding my network, my circle of influence. And by that time, I had already moved up north. So it was a whole new ball game, new market that I had to prepare for and get to know. So.
Man, that's powerful. It's so powerful because, you said something when you said that in the down market, you continued your education and you were preparing for life after the down market, where I think many people take the opposite effect, though. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in a down market, they start looking for quick fixes. They start looking for different ways, maybe even taking on second and third jobs because they got to make ends meet, but they don't educate themselves, and you used it as a for lack of better words, maybe a trampoline for your life. I always say today's earnings are based upon yesterday's applied learning. So you learned things yesterday, which now you can apply today, and it's actually catapulted you and set you up for where you are. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the real estate side of this, right? So this last year, it sounds like you even took another change, another shift, and you decided to kind of branch a little bit. Why don't you walk me through that?
Yeah. So I moved, when I started real estate in DFW, it was about 2015. So it's, 2013. Trying to get the years right.
Okay.
It's been about 5 years. So I was initially just worked with investors. So I was working by myself. independently. I wasn't sponsoring any agents, even though I was a licensed broker. I just worked to help investors during the kind of fix and flip time frame. It was very popular, very common. There was lots of available inventory for those types of purchases.
Okay.
So that's what I did for about the first 2 years while I was kind of still getting familiar with the market and making network and connections and things like that. In 2015, I decided that I was going to start, moving into more of the traditional market. So I did that, and I also worked with another broker in the property management field for, the next, let's say 3 years, which brings us to 2018. Property management is great, and my broker partner has a great business, and it's very fruitful for him, but it wasn't what I was passionate about. And so I decided to move on and rebrand and relaunch my own brokerage and move into what really my heart was, which is building a team and growing into the international market. So that brings us to today.
I mean, that's awesome. It's awesome. So as you're at today and you're moving to tomorrow, what do you see from your brokerage kind of going forward? I mean, I've seen the team assembled, and are you still looking for people that could possibly be a part of y'all's team? And then kind of what do you kind of envision maybe for the next, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year? I mean, kind of walk me through that.
Absolutely. Definitely have been blessed to grow a team very quickly over the last 6 months. I feel like once I put those thoughts and that into place and started taking action towards growing a team, it assembled really quickly. So we grew from 2 to 7 within the last 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
And my goal is definitely to continue to expand on that and to be able to grow more agents and mentor them. So it would be great to get to 20 agents in the next year, and then just to continue to grow beyond that, with the business as we progress in the next 3, 5, 10 years. So I don't have a limit. But what I do know is that I'm very much a relationship person. And so as much as I want to grow, I want to also be able to have a good relationship with each person that I work with or that works with me. So that's really important to me. So it's more about the quality of the relationship and helping the agents be successful than it is, the number of agents on hand. So
I love that. And, of course, I get to be kind of close to even some of the development and watching this. And I like that because when it's all said and done, you can become a machine, for the lack of better words, right? And just put people through the process. But I think that you're taking that approach. I read that book last year by Kim Scott, Radical Candor. And her whole thing, the book had 2 premises. And the first one was you got to care personally about people. And I think that the fact that you care and people get to see and feel and touch your heart causes them to want to give you more than just their hands. They'll go the extra mile for you. And then the second thing is you got to challenge directly. And that's the part that I love. I love watching, not only do you care for your team, but you're challenging your team to do more, be more, experience more. And you're leading them, right? You're leading them through what you're doing, and then naturally what you're doing for them. So I'm excited for it. All right, let's jump on just like a lighter note. So if Lori has to go travel, right? If she gets to go travel, give me 3 places that Lori says, these are places that maybe you've been and you want to go back, or maybe they're places that you're like, I want to get to those places and go there.
There's definitely a lot of places that I've been that I'd like to return to, but there are also an extensive list of places that I haven't been that are on my to-do list. So one of my favorite places in my travels was Italy. And I was fortunate enough to visit Italy about 2 years ago, and it was with a group tour. So one of the reasons why I'm so adamant that I want to go back to Italy is because I want to go and be able to tour Italy on my own, at my own pace, and just really enjoy the culture and the environment and the scenery. Italy has some great cities, great places. But I really love the food and the culture, and so I want to be able to enjoy those things at a more slow pace than I did with our tour.
Okay.
So that's one of the places I definitely want to revisit. Of course, I love the water, like I said. So there have been a few places, coastal places that I would consider revisiting. But when it comes to the beach, I'm almost always looking for a new place to go. So probably on my to-do list in the near future is Mérida, Mexico, which is in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. It's not a very common place for most people to visit.
Right. You said, I was thinking, where in the world is that? But okay.
Yeah. It's actually not very far from Cancun, which everybody knows Cancun, but it's a little bit further to the west in the Yucatan Peninsula. So they have lots of rich culture, very artsy, and I think it's kind of an up-and-coming place. So it's definitely one of the places I am looking forward to visiting, within the next year or so.
Awesome. All right, so we're in our last minute of wrap-up. So, of course, your contact information is coming on the screen because who knows, there could be agents that are listening or people that want to get into real estate like you. They're in the field and they want to do something different and they need to know how to do it. So we're going to put your contact information. It's right there on the screen now. So if somebody you're listening. So I'm going to say a word and I want to I just want you to give me 2 or 3 words that describe what's the first thing that come to your mind. So we're going to put you on the minute hot seat as we conclude.
Okay.
All right. So let's start off. Let's start off with Lori. Who is Lori? If you had to describe her in 2 or 3 words.
Wow, that's kind of hard to do, I guess. But I think Lori is, I guess I would persevere. It's definitely one of the things that I think I'm pretty persistent.
Yeah.
So I try to push forward and make things happen, even, like I said, when there's challenges. I think I'm a very warm and welcoming person. So I think that's, I've been able to create great friendships and relationships throughout my life because of that.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm dedicated, I think. When I put my mind to something, whether it's parenting or my business or relationships, whatever those things are, I am dedicated to it. I go all in, so.
Yeah. All right. 1 word answers, 2 more things. Here we go. Music,
salsa.
Okay. All right. The power of coaching.
Transformational.
There you have it, guys. Lori with the showcase. Derek Butts, Assist You to Win. We're so excited. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me.